Okay, 6:15, we'll call streets and sanitation committee to order. One item on the agenda, discuss amending Title 10, City of Mandeville Municipal Code, Animal Control. Who is going to be addressing this?
David Denton, the animal control officer.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What I'm asking, the ordinance that we have now has a word in it, knowingly. It's used now that the public is reading this. A lot of people are opening their doors, letting their dog out when we come to them with the problem that their dog's running loose. The first thing they said, I didn't know it was out. Even though they went out or let it out, went back in, watched TV or whatever, and the dog was terrorizing the neighborhood. Go right on a citation. A lot of police officers don't feel comfortable doing it because this word is in there. It also, it's always been my understanding we can't take away from the state law. We could add to it a little bit stricter, and that is not in the state law. Also adding in there that if it's off the owner's property, it would need to be on the leash under the control of the owner. The second thing that I have on it is it was omitted in 2011 on section 400, the penalty phase, which is the same as it's in the 300. Added it to the bottom part of the 400 section, which just gives the penalties of what it would be for infractions of this ordinance.
How many times do you run into this situation where you go to someone's house and they say they it was out, or does that happen quite often?
Yes, it happens quite often because we have a lot of people that, just like I said, they'll release their dog outside, they go back in to watch TV. We had one about 2 weeks ago right down below the police station. If the dog was 2 blocks away, and the first thing the lady told me, we didn't know it was out. And the neighbor across the street told the officer that responded that he saw her release the dog out, shut the door, and go back in. And she was trying to tell us that the daughter was the one that released the dog, but the gentleman across the road stated that the dog was released by the owner. We have it all over. And now that the ordinances are where people are reading them online and everywhere, they're using it when it goes to court. If they bring that word knowingly up, the judge normally just dismisses it. Sometimes we'll give them a court cost. And not too long after that, we'll have the same problem with the same dog.
Another question about what it was. Anybody else got any questions?
So that was just changing the word.
Yes.
We're taking out normally, right?
Yeah. On these type of offenses, is the first time usually just a warning citation, or how's that handled?
Normally I warn them if it's a occurring thing that's very often. We may go a little further. We handle everything by each offense or each situation. Sometimes it's things where the dog has been tied, it's wore out the cable or the chain and it's broken, and we give them that benefit. You probably wouldn't know that, but each case is handled separately according to what it is. If they've had prior things, we have started now with 911 when we have calls and officers that is put on what's the incident card at 911. When we're called, we can go back and check to see if this has happened before with the same people or whatever.
They do have to handle them different because, I mean, sometimes there's other animals involved that gets attacked in different circumstances. So, I mean, this does happen often.
But if you just come up on a dog that's run loose and you know who the owner is, and there's not been any trouble with any, it's just a warning to put it up, is that basically?
A lot of times I take it back and knock on the door and tell, here's your dog, please keep it up. I don't go out just to pick up every dog that's running loose.
I mean, if they've got a tag with a number on it,
Yeah.
we take and call them. I've actually been on calls before where they've had the tag, we've called, and actually it's somebody lived in the county that had the dog.
If they don't,
They'll just come and get it.
if they don't have a phone number or anything, it's got a rabies tag on it, I go back to the office and run the rabies tag through the veterinarians. I've got a list of the statewide issued tags, what vet they go to. And I go back and call, and I'll give them, where they can come pick the dog up. The reoccurring problem is when a lot of people are using that knowingly, just to say, I didn't know it was out. And it's a constant thing, continuous.
Anybody else?
So this is two separate things, right?
One of them is to change the word.
Yeah.
And the other is to make it each offense, each day is a different offense? Is that-
No, the ad on it, that when it's off the owner's property, which is in the state law also, it is supposed to be under a leash. Like if they're going down the street, I had one about 3 months ago coming down West Main Street, that the owners was jogging on the left-hand side coming in, their dog was jogging in the middle of the road. They had no leash on it, cars was having to go on both sides of it. And I confronted them about it, and they said, oh, we didn't know he came with us, but bound to, because all the cars are darting and trying to keep from hitting the dog.
Will the dog park have any effect on that?
Well, if they're not running at large.
As long as you're fence and this.
If you would take your dog on a leash from your vehicle to the fence, and then in the fence, it's let it off.
That's normally what they do in every city that has a dog park. You lead it to the fence till you get inside. That way you've not got a bunch running together, people from the cars, and you have dog fights and all if you've not got them under control.
If they're going to court, and to pay court costs, they are getting hit with some costs.
They're getting some costs, but when you've got repeated people, if the judge, if they come in and say, I didn't know it, he knows what's in this, and he's not finding them for it. And then it's just a recurring thing.
Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
On this penalty part, it talks about person may be fined up to $50 per day. Each day is a separate violation. Dog can be confiscated, impounded, and then that person must pay all the fees, costs incurred as a result of the confiscation or impoundment, as may be established by ordinance or resolution of the board, mayor, and alderman. Do we have a number for that? Have we approved anything for that?
It's the same penalty phase that's under the 300 section, which is the dog at large. It was just omitted when they were done in 2011, and they chose not to go back and add it in.
Where is that amount, the cost?
I have a copy of it here. It's section 10.315 in the at-large 300 section.
Okay, that says the same thing.
Yes.
So what are the costs?
If I have it, the cost for $10 a day, and according to the situation, if it's something that, the owner hadn't purposely done it or anything like that, or it hadn't caused damage, usually the cost is $25 and then the $10 a day. But if it's like caused problems, if it's attacked other animals, or done mischief, tore up property, or whatever, I usually charge the $50 penalty for it being at large.
Do you have that where we passed that? The ordinance or resolution that passed those costs?
I don't have it with me, no. It was passed, I think, at the same time, February of 2011.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we have that. It's not just arbitrarily deciding what those are.
How many times a week do you pick up? Or just roughly numbers,
Do what now?
just like roughly how many do you pick up? Or have this problem?
Out of all that I picked up, most of them like that, they're about 90% of what I pick up is the ones that's at large and just problems like that. The stray problem we've got kind of down. It's just the problems of people releasing the dogs.
How many per month would you say?
Probably 30 to 35 a month. Like I said, if it's something that's, a dog's just wandering the neighborhood, a lot of neighborhoods, they may be 3 or 4 neighbors that the dog goes from house to house and they like it. That's between, I'll let that be between the neighbors. If they want it to go back and forth and they want to feed it, it'd be kind of a community dog and they've got no problem. I've got no problem with it until it gets out and goes out in the middle of the road or whatever. And then I try to go talk to them, explain to them that they need to keep it out of the road. I don't just go after them. I go around and try to talk to them, try to educate them that they do need to keep their animal up. There's a lot. During the month, I'll probably get 10 or so that's killed in the road. They'll have tags and stuff where they open the door and let them out and just forget about them. They go down the road, run out in front of somebody and get killed.
Anybody else have any questions? Comments about changing that language?
Sounds reasonable, but I'd like to watch the recommended.
And that's take the word knowingly out, is that correct?
Yes, and that adds the part about how if it's off the property to be under a leash. Control of the animals.
Is that part of your motion too? Okay. You say that?
I second it, but that leaves a lot of discretion for the
Yeah,
next
it does.
person. I mean, that's the only thing I think is that, I like what you said, that if it's a community dog, it's not gonna be a big deal, you'll let that be, but then there's a lot of discretion already, packed in here.
What do you think?
Well, I'm okay with changing the word knowingly part, even though I do like to. I always look at intent. What is the person's intent? Are they intending for their dog to be running at large? And I think that's something very easily to figure out. Just ask the neighbors, is this dog out all the time? But I'm okay if it'll save you some headache to change that. There's a so-called, I guess you say, neighborhood dog in my neighborhood. It wouldn't hurt a biscuit out of fun. Huh? Yes. Yes. And I just don't know how you say this is the rule, but you have exceptions over here, and how you gonna, if somebody says, well, you're allowing that dog over there to run up and down the road, or, you see what I'm saying? Or,
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know how you play all that out.
You get a complaint, you deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how, most of his calls is complaints.
Yeah.
From neighbors. He's not out just looking for dogs running loose.
When we had a real big stray problem, I went out every day. I followed the garbage trucks. If there's a stray dog in the neighborhood, he's gonna follow the garbage truck. That's how I put the stray dog population down. That's just the thing, because we used to have years ago when they got all the rear loaders, the guys on the back, somebody throw a hack of pizza away, they'd stick it over to the side, and every dog they came to, they gave a piece of pizza to it. So it got to where stray dogs would fall in the garbage truck. Yeah. So the first 3 years that I'd done this, I picked up a lot of strays, a lot of, it was just hanging out in the woods, and hanging out everywhere. We've got that kind of under control. But now it's part of the ones that's just turning them out, like I said, go back inside or whatever, they don't want to sit out and watch them. And like adding the part about the leash, the ones that's out here walking, they're taking that chance of that dog running off the sidewalk if they're walking or whatever, out in front of cars, cause a head-on collision or whatever.
Yeah.
The animals they can be controlled by verbal command so much, but I found out through the years, it's just like the electronic fences. People want to put those up. If a dog sees a cat and it hates a cat, it's going to take a 2-foot shot and go out to get the cat. But it's not going to come back because it's thinking, boy, if I go back to my yard, I'm fixing to get eat up. But that cat was worth it. You two have a neighbor that is close by that's got one with electronic collar that he uses the knowingly word only because the batteries get slow. And that dog eats more Hardee's biscuits than probably anybody in this room right here has. Because everybody at Hardee's, oh, that poor dog. They buy in a biscuit along with theirs, go around to the back parking lot with a dumpster, and they lay the biscuit down, and the dog comes to get it.
So you get the defense of, well, I had the collar on it, I didn't know it was out running around because I've got the collar on it. And that would take that, say, well, it doesn't matter whether your batteries were charged or there's a malfunction, you're still getting a citation.
Well, if it's a one-time thing, the first time, I try to take them back and say, hey, your batteries may be low. But like this one here, it's a common thing that probably in the last 10 years, I've called him, get his dog probably 10 or 15 times. One of the lieutenants at the police department picked it up at Hardee's not long ago, didn't know whose dog it was. They posted a picture on Facebook. As soon as I saw the picture, I know whose dog it belonged to. He made connection with the owner and got the dog back to him. But that's just to the point it's going. This was like 6 o'clock at night when they picked it up. He's eating hamburgers then instead of biscuits. He was going to Hardee's to get something. That's where they picked him up on the far side between that and the car lot.
Never seen such a straight, smart dog go in my life.
Truly, truly. It will stop and look to see if the traffic is coming. That's how many times it's crossed that street.
Do you see those two items as the knowingly part of the leash issue? Are they equally as important, or is the wording of the one the most important?
They're pretty well equally, before we've got some, where we can do something if we need to. Like I said, it's not something I'm going out to look for. We just need to, when we get it, if we have to go to court, Tim has been with us in court before on cases, and if they've read these ordinances, they know exactly what to say, or they bring a lawyer with them, and that lawyer's already figured out that word's in there. That's one of the first things that they come off with. The leash part is, if you're out going with your dog or whatever, if you think a whole lot of your dog, it needs to be on the leash to keep it from just running off and doing whatever it wants to. And I don't, like I say, none of these things I go out intentionally to do. I'm just looking out for the safety of the dog and them not causing problems out here, causing head-on collisions or whatever running. Like the one I was telling about on West Main. That could have easily, somebody swerved to miss it, even could have hit the owners trying to dodge the dog.
to your point about enforcement, too many people refuse to accept the responsibility for the pet. The last case that David had come to me to go to court, a pit bull mix came out of its yard and attacked an elderly pedestrian who fortunately was carrying a large staff with him and was able to fight the dog off, and he sustained some pretty serious bite wounds, but it could have been much worse. But cases like that, the first thing the owner said was that, oh, I didn't know the dog was outside the fence. But the neighbors, when David interviewed him, attested to the fact that the dog was regularly out and, clearly a menace. So he needs the discretion to hit offenders like that with $50 a day serial fine. We litigated with those folks through 2 courts and probably 90 days over one incident. So his discretion is well used and very, very much needed from an enforcement standpoint.
Yeah, that case ended up even going to circuit court. It went that far. The witness across the road that's come out and helped get the dog off, the gentleman saw every bit of it. And it was one of those things where the neighbor lets it out, comes in from work from a night shift, had a fenced in backyard, even opened the gate, let the dog out, let it run around, and it went out. This gentleman was 77 years old, getting out to get his exercise. 30 days from that, he was supposed to have some heart procedures done. He was trying to get his heart stabilized before he could have his surgery. It costed him another 60 days before he could go on and get his surgery done.
So, okay, let me make sure I'm understanding. You can charge for the time you have it in your possession, the dog, so much.
That's $10 a day.
Plus the judge can impose up to $50. Is that correct?
Fine.
A fine, yes.
And that fine, if the court finds aggravating circumstances or a serial offender, those fines can be stacked. So David ended up with that dog over 90 days, I know.
Yes.
And so 90 times 50 was the range of fine, which Judge Stanley awarded.
Normally on one like that, the judge will tell us how much we can do on boarding. A lot of times it's not, wouldn't be the full 90 days. He asked what the boarding amount is and how many days we've had it, and he'll figure, a lot of times he'll figure it. He'll say, okay, you can have this much boarding. Sometimes they give the whole thing, sometimes they don't.
We have a comparable ordinance in code for serial offenders. Our municipal court is limited by Constitution to $50 fines, but as in code, when we have a serial offender who fails to comply with the lawful order of the court, fines of $50 per day, serial fines are also permissible and sometimes awarded.
All right, we have a motion. Shirley, can you read me that motion?
I just got it. It was to approve the recommendations that made by David and strike the word knowingly and the leash.
We're okay with the leash.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I know David does a good job. I'll take the minutes. He works hard at what he does, if that's what he thinks.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I don't know, you have a leash already.
My dog's done all that stuff.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Is that all we need to talk about for you tonight? Okay.
Thank you.
We stand adjourned.